Today, let's talk about the earlier bullets loaded in the muskets and rifled muskets. The lead is a kind of metal material that is very easy to process because the melting point is only 327 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is not the chemistry class, but it's the chemistry feature. It's a very important point that makes it become a very popular material to build bullets. In the very long time ago, the earliest firearms was just a kind of arm which could shoot fire. But gradually, the smart ancient people might find that the fire made from the gunpowder could push the pellets out from the tube of firearms, known as the barrel of the firearms. But according to our modern chemistry knowledge, actually after burning, the gunpowder could produce the gas, and the gas was the key to push the bullets out. With a deeper study, finally the lead became the best choice to build bullets in ancient times. So the lead bullet was almost the earliest real bullets for the guns. Although the people always invented many variants of new firearms, such as matchlock, flintlock, rifled barrels firearms, etc. During a very long time, the lead bow were always the most popular bullets for the firearms. Typically, the simple round lead bows were inserted in preparation of a paper cartridge, and the paper also could be used as a padding in order to make sure the lead bow was more steady to accelerate in the barrel. Plus, if users didn't use the paper cartridge, they would load the lead bow with a patch, which also has the same function. In fact, this was the typical loading steps for muskets, but for some early models of rifles, more strictly speaking, they were the muskets with a rifled barrel or rifled musket. In the time of muzzleloaders, with small spar were widely used. The round bows were always the most popular bullets, so there was a problem that, although the limited used rifles rarely existed in the military, they could improve the shooting accuracy of the whole military in the 18th century and in the early part of the 19th century. Besides this, for the generals, they still wanted to get more adventure in a battle. Even though the rifled barrel, the rarely practical branch loading firearms, and the more advanced bullet technology wasn't invented or widely applied in the years. So in order to improve the accuracy of the musket, finally the buck-end bow bullets appeared. So what is the buck-end bow? This was a kind of combined bullet. The load usually consisted of .50 to .75 caliber round lead musket bow that was combined with 3 to 6 buckshot pellets in order to improve the musket accuracy. So it lets the musket have a normal musket and the shotgun's adventure at the same time. Actually, from the normal and the shotgun's adventure at the same time. Actually, from the normal lead bow to the buck-end bow, there was not a very big change in the firearm tech. The almost same paper steel cartridge, the almost same small spar musket, and the almost same black powder, etc. But according to the effect in the battlefield, this kind of a little change really improved the accuracy of muskets, because killing enemies is not the only way to win a battle. Letting the enemy side can't fight is a goal. So since this kind of combined bullet has small pellets, it can be more possible to hit the enemies and knock them down. So this might be why during the American Revolution, George Washington encouraged his troops to load their muskets with buck-end bow loads. And this kind of bullets also was the standard issue throughout the Seminole Wars of 1815 to 1845. In my opinion, the buck-end bow loads could identify us a kind of transition from the small spar guns to the rifled guns. In addition, the time arriving nowadays, the buck-end bow became a kind of a special bullet in a defensive shotgun. Speaking of the rifled guns, I think the bullets in the next chapter was the key point that made everyone know the real power of the rifled muskets, and they were the real future in the battlefield. Minié bow was a key point. This was a new type of lead bow in the 19th century, which was designed and invented by a Frenchman include Agent Minié in the 1830s. From this moment, the round bows as a kind of a bullet which was used for more than 300 years finally was going to the end of its history. In order to get more shooting effect and more fit the new type bullets, the muskets were also developed. During this time, more and more people started to use the Minié bows. This new type of musket was the Minié rifle, invented around the 1850s to 1860s. Actually, the Minié rifle was a category name to identify as the long guns which had rifled barrels, known as the rifled musket and just the rifle. The most famous rifles might be the pattern 1853 Enfield and the Springfield model 1861 among the Minié rifles. Although the Minié rifle was still a muzzleloader, Minié bow was still installed in preparation of a paper cartridge. Everybody simply found that both were the future. So after that, rifled barrels and Minié bows almost became the standard of the military rifles. Meanwhile, the take of a Minié bow and the Minié rifle made the firearms have a longer shooting range than most of the old-style guns, with a small sport barrel, so that if the military used a new rifled musket, they would get a clear advantage of shooting in a farther position than the side of using common smooth-bore muskets. In addition, the Minié bows also made a opportunity for the metallic cartridge to be born, besides the improvement of shooting range. In fact, the really horrible point is that the Minié bow makes the war more cruel. We know that the Minié bows were almost made from lead, so when the lead was shot into the human body, it would partly result in lead poisoning. But according to the situation on the battlefield around the 1850s to 1860s, by the way, the American Civil War was during those years. Comparatively, lead poisoning was not the deadliest point. The penetrating power of old-school round bow bullets was obviously weaker than the Minié bows, although the old muskets and the new model rifled muskets used almost the same gunpowder, the black powder. Because of the rifled barrel, the conical Minié bows could have more steady ballistics. At the same time, Minié bow also had a higher muzzle velocity and greater mass, so the Minié bow could penetrate the human body easier than the round bow. For the round bow tended to remain lodged in the flesh, but seldom remained lodged in the body. But the Minié bow, whose penetrating power was more powerful, could tend to cut a straight path. The most horrible situation was what if the Minié bow penetrated the flesh and continued going and hitting the bones. Usually, the Minié bow could shatter it. But we know that the level of field medicine in the 19th century, well, it was better than nothing. In addition, we know that in the 19th century, the surgeons even did not have awareness of disinfecting when they did the surgery. So we can imagine the medical treatment might be worse on the battlefield. If the soldiers got the damage to bones and the resulting compound fractures, usually, he might necessitate amputation, and this is a better situation because he survived at least. Sometimes, the worst case might be that he would lose his leg or his arm instantly after being hit the Minié bow, and this kind of wound could result in infection. So maybe, although the bullets didn't take his life, the bacterium could. Okay, this is today's bullet story. To be honest, there actually was some more detailed stories about the Minié bow, so I can't put them all into only one video, so we will continue talking about it deeper in the future videos. Finally, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you can like this video. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.